Hello everyone and welcome to How to Be a Smart Food Shopper. My name is Nureen Glaves. I'm founder of CEO of Feed Me Good, your best source of food education. And I know you guys, Simply Business teams, had an amazing week on the Wellbeing Fest or Welfest. And I had the lovely opportunity of doing a session with you guys. And I wanted to give you guys my foolproof method of saving yourself money on food shopping. So our program is called How to Be a Smart Food Shopper, and I'm going to be going into a few topic areas that's going to be helping you save money on your food shopping and also saving on food waste as well. So let's get started. So let's start with healthy eating. Healthy eating made easy, as we like to call our module. Now, when we think of what is healthy eating, we normally think that it's many like greens, lots of colors of the rainbow. It might be vegan food, might be different terminologies. But what we've realized over time is that everyone has their own perception of what healthy eating is. Now, so what we say at Feed Me Good is healthy eating is incorporating the colors of the rainbow. So when we think of an Eat Well plate, for example, we think of foods that's going to be either your 5 a day. So you want to have your vegetables first because you get a lot of the nutrients from those actual vegetables. And then you want to have your fruits. You're going to get your fruit sugars. But there's specific fruits you want to really go for. So for us, when we try to do stuff around your brain health or your gut health, your heart health even, we really want to go for foods that are like, say, your berries. So your citrus fruits are really good. Your berries, kiwis, bananas, apples, those type of fruits are really helpful to have because they're not so much high in sugar besides the banana, and they're giving you lots of antioxidants, which is really good for like fighting infections and diseases in your body as well. And when we think about, so we've done vegetables, you want to go all of the different colors from like the greens, the yellows, oranges, all these different fruits and vegetables have specific colors, if you all know, but these colors have different benefits that's going to be helpful for your body. And then the next thing I also say you want to have is either, if you're vegan, you want to really incorporate more proteins like B12, iron. You really want to have more cod liver oil, or you can get some marine collagen as well. So you really want to increase these, because what we tend to find is certain diets can make you deficient in certain nutrients. So if you are going to have like a wide range of foods, if you're not going to be having meat and fish, if you want to have more marine type collagen or pea proteins, for example. So if you are going to have meat or fish, what I would say for you to go for is white meat. So that could be your chicken, your turkey, and you want to have that's quite good to have. And then you can also have your red meats, but not too much red meat. You're actually meant to have about the palm of your hand when it comes to the meat consumption. Sometimes we tend to have lots of meat consumption and it's not always good for us. So I always have this philosophy that if I eat a beef on one day, then I try to let me another day or two before I have fish, because what we find is to do with your digestion. It doesn't always digest well. What you can do to digest your food well is actually have your vegetables first. So when you're showing out your plate of food, you really want to go for having more vegetables first. So you'll have half of the plate to be the vegetables or salad. Then you have the other 1/4 is going to be your protein. It could be fish, meat, chicken, tofu, whatever you for, or even beans, beans and lentils, legumes can also be. And then the last quarter is going to be your carbohydrates. Very, very important, because what helps with that is that it's more balanced. You're going to get more fiber, good amount of protein, and just the right amount of carbohydrates, which is essential. Okay, so when you think of healthy eating, I know there's a lot of gimmicks out there, there's a lot of information, but just keep it really simple. You really want to go for your vegetables first, your fruits, then you want to get your proteins. That could be your meat or fish whitefish. If you're going to go for oily fish, guys, just to add into that, you really want to go for like salmon, mackerel, herring, tuna, sardines. Those are the meccas of the oily fishes. It's going to give you omega-3, which is really good for your brain function and your heart function as well. So really want to go for those. They're very, very essential. And then I also say to you, if you're going to go for dairy, to be honest with you, I've always got to say, we're not cows, so we shouldn't really be having milk. However, you can have dairy-free options like oat milk, so oat milk, rice milk, coconut milk. You know, you can have your almond milk, you have different milks. And then if you want to have protein, you can have your either kefir, like yogurts. Kefir yogurt's quite helpful. Or you can have different types of coconut yogurt or soy yogurt. There's different ones out there, so kind of mix it up. And you know, those ones will be really good for your gut health. You know, you really want to have a mixture of stuff. And fermented foods, if you haven't incorporated any fermented foods in your diet, you should really try to. So what I would say is you can have like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. That's like really weird drink, but I'll be honest with you, if you get the lemon and raspberry flavor, it's actually quite nice and it doesn't feel so heavy in your stomach. And I'll also say as well, if you have beer has high in B12, which is basically one of the proteins that help you to have more energy. But what you want to do is really decrease the amount of alcohol. The more alcohol consumption we have, the more problems we have on our stomachs. So it's really important to try and have more water, have more teas. You can go for like green tea is amazing. You can also go for peppermint tea, chamomile tea, honey, ginger and lemon tea. Those ones are really good, especially for like relaxing you, helping your mood, but also helping your stomach as well if you feel nausea. Ginger and lemon is amazing. If you have like example black tea is okay. I know we tend to have, you know, PG tips and Tetley and so forth, and they're okay, but it's really more impactful to have more herbal teas because they've got much more nutrients that's going to be going into your body and making things more better for you as well. So when it comes to healthy foods, think whole foods. You know, you want to have your whole grain pastas or your rice or your beans and legumes or quinoa and couscous. Make it whole grain so that way you get more of the fiber. One of the issues we find in the UK is that we're actually meant to have about 24 grams of fiber per day, but we don't always achieve that. And I think it's because we don't always mix the foods how we're meant to do so. So if you're going to increase your fiber, that's going to be helping you to go more, digest your food well, and you'll be able to have less health problems when it comes to your stomach, I would say. Okay, so healthy eating is literally just making sure that you get the right nutrients from the colors of the rainbows of all your foods, and they have to be more functional for the jobs they do in your body. Okay, so that's healthy eating. Let's talk labeling, guys. Okay, so I used to work in Sainsbury's as a branded sampler for 5 years, which was very, very helpful to get me through my degree. Okay, but as I was doing my degree, which is in food and nutrition, what I found is I still do see a lot of people spending time reading the labels, and it's just like, oh, bless your cotton socks. Okay, so I'm going to give you my foolproof tips on how to understand labels. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is that when it comes to food products, they have these two claims. Okay, there's one called a nutrition claim, the other one's called a health claim. Okay, so as a manufacturer, they have like 1 year to say they have a product, and they're like, okay, you know what, we're gonna make, I don't know, a smoothie, for example, and this smoothie has, I don't know, so many different fruit and vegetables, and it's supposed to be healthy, 1 of your 5 a day, gonna be rich in vitamin C and rich in fiber. Okay, now what is showing you is that, one, if it says, say example, 1 of your 5 a day, okay, that's going to be like a health claim. So that's going to be like, okay, well, it's 1 of your 5 a day, it's going to be good for you and so forth like that. And it literally has that big sticker at the front of the package, 1 of your 5 a day. How many times have we seen this, guys? I'm sure we've seen it all the time. The next one you'll have is the rich in vitamin C, rich in vitamin C, vitamin D, whatever you want to put in that, right? That's going to be a nutrition claim. So manufacturers have 1 year to have that claim and basically dispute it, and they put a case in and they say, okay, that's fine, and that can be on a label. So when you go through these products, what they do is they'll have these beautiful marketing that says, okay, 1 of your 5 a day, rich in all these nutrients, and you're thinking, oh my God, we need to buy it because it's so healthy and it's so good, right? But what actually happens, if you look at the back of the label, you're going to see all the grams of sugar. So what I'm going to explain to you is how the label actually works. So when you see a label, you always see a label in 2 ways. You have it as 100 grams out of 100 or per serving. So per serving could be anywhere between 35 to 45 grams. And that is literally for any product. Doesn't matter if it's cereal, doesn't matter if it's yogurt, doesn't matter if it's anything. It's always out of 100 or per serving. So that means that imagine if you have, say, this juice and it says to you, okay, 100 grams is like, I don't know, 75 grams of sugar, and then per serving might be about 15 grams, or maybe even higher. Like, no, let's start that one again. Actually, let's say it's 45 grams for per serving of sugar, and maybe 100 grams for 100 grams of the actual product, right? So that means it's going to be 9 teaspoons, because we always count it in 5 times tables, because 1 teaspoon is 5 grams. So we have 9 teaspoons of sugar in that 1 serving, okay? So if you ever get confused about how much sugar is in the product, always remember your 5 times tables. 5, 10, 15, 20, and then you can identify exactly how much sugar or salt or fats even is in your food, okay? It's not necessarily always about the calories you need to worry about. It's mainly to do with the sugar. So if it says carbohydrates, you have 2 sets. You have the from starches, so it's going to be like your actual starches, or it'll be from sugars, okay? So if it's going to be from the sugars is what you need to worry about, or actually be more concerned about, and you need to just count your 5 times tables for that. And if you see for salt, yeah, because you're going to have either sodium or salt, so you want to basically look at it and say, okay, I know that I'm meant to have 6 grams of salt per day. That's about 1 teaspoon, just over 1 teaspoon, okay? So what you want to do is really be mindful that everything you eat, anything that's processed, will have salt in it. So it's very, very important for you to be able to check the label and see how much is in there. Most processed foods have high amounts of either trans fats, which is basically how would I explain it? So trans fats is basically to do with the process of what the food's gone through. So you've got saturated fats that come from animals. Trans fats is when you come from a solid to a liquid, or a liquid to a solid, okay? So that actual process basically breaks up the fat chains, and it makes it not so good for us to digest, okay? And it kind of stuck onto your arteries and your veins and stuff like that, all right? So what you want to do is, when you look at the labels, you want to look at the salt, the sugar, and the fat, and obviously protein as well, but I'll probably say these 3 main things as well. And you don't want to have like the gimmicky things. So like example, we always see these lovely campaigns for these beautiful yogurts and different things, and all these endorsed celebrities are campaigning for these products. And what people don't realize is at the back of the label is telling you all the sins, yeah? So let's go sin number 1, which is sugar-free, right? We see them in the commercials of the cans and all these drinks and the sugar-free. We're like, oh yes, sugar-free. This is good, right? But what happens is the back of the label tells you it's got saccharin or aspartame. Aspartame is literally quite toxic. It's a man-made sugar that basically is much more sweeter or stronger than sugar. It's about 800 times sweeter or stronger. But because it doesn't really spike the insulin levels, it tends to be one of those options that everyone kind of like has if you have it in like sugar-free drinks, because sugar's bad for you. Yes, sugar's bad for you because it has the same effects as crack cocaine on your brain. However, man-made sugars, I find, is not also as great. Okay, so I would say if you are going to go for a sweetener, I'd say go for natural. Go for date syrup, because dates are quite good as well. You can go for agave syrup, you can go for maple syrup, and you can also go for honey. Those are like my top ones that I would say that are really good. So agave literally comes from the cactus plant, if you didn't know, and it's also quite good. So I would say those are the best ones. All right, if you see stuff that says fat free, most of the time, unless it's like a plain yogurt, that's fine. But sometimes they can add some lovely sweeteners in there. So it says fat free. So imagine when you have a product, what that means is that it has to have some sort of fillers. Fillers to make it taste something, fillers to make it taste good, fillers of either sugar or salt or fat. Something has to be in there. This is the reason why when we see a lot of the gluten-free or free-from products, they taste really bad, because they add so much stuff in there to get the consistency to be okay, or to make it taste like something decent. Okay, so do not be fooled when it comes to fat-free or sugar-free, especially sugar-free. If you give your children Capri Sun, or any sugar-free drinks or any sugar-free yogurts like Fruit Shoots and all these different things, or Petit Filou, the worst ones, please stop giving them, because what you're giving them mainly is just liquid sugar, which is not good. Okay, and I'd also say just keep it natural. Go for like either natural yogurt or bio yogurt, any of those ones, just completely natural, nothing in it, and you can add it yourself. You can add your fruits yourself, you can add the yogurt, the actual syrups yourself, which is either the honey, agave syrup, or you can have maple syrup or date syrup. Okay, those ones are good options if you're going to do that. And my number one favorite thing of reading a label is count 5. What do I mean by that? Okay, so when you see the back of a label, what you want to understand is all you have to do is count the first 5 ingredients that you see. So if the product says to you that it's actually 5, it says salt or sugar as the first ingredient, please believe the whole product is literally salt or sugar. Doesn't matter what it is, okay? So always think to yourself, if it's 5, count 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, see exactly what those ingredients are, and that makes up the makeup of that product. Another thing you have to be careful with as well is there's a lot of like fillers. So you're going to have like gum and gaga and all these different things. Be mindful of them, because a lot of times they say, okay, they may be rich in something, like rich in vitamin C or D or phosphate or whatever it's going to put in there. But when you look at the back of the label, it's a small amount, and that's at the bottom of the label or the ingredients list. So you really want to be careful about that. And if you cannot read it or pronounce it, which is the same thing really, then don't buy it. You know, a lot of these products out there, they have so much stuff in them. And I tend to find, if I'm being honest, that a lot of vegan products have a lot of stuff in them to make them taste like other foods. So what I would say to you is that just keep it simple with the labels. When it comes to buying these products, you have to understand, when it comes to manufacturing, they all have the same suppliers. When I used to work in Premier Foods, or even in Sainsbury's, for example, I remember speaking to them, and they said the same Weetabix box that you see, you know, Nestle Weetabix, is the same supplier. That means all the ingredients is exactly the same as Sainsbury's own brand. A lot of the time we tend to buy products thinking that we're buying the name and we're buying all that comes with it, but they have the same suppliers. So you're only spending more money for certain things. It might be the ingredients might be changed and so forth like that. And that also leads me on to my next point. Brands versus products. Okay, so of all my years in doing this branding sampling, I learned quite a few things about human behaviors and how we shop, and how the psychology is behind the supermarkets. And what I would say to you is that a lot of these products that you see out there have the same suppliers, so you might as well use your, save yourself some money and actually utilize this to your favor. So example, if you have ketchup, or let's go for another example, which is one of my favorites, Branston's baked beans. Did you know that they actually have bigger beans than Heinz baked beans? But because Heinz is at a higher level when it comes to consumer opinion, when it comes to like, you know, the prices and so forth, or what we associate to be like a really high value product, we also kind of overlook the other products out there. So when you go to supermarkets and you see they have like 10 amounts of the same product, could be 10 boxes of cereal of the same one, or 10 sauces of the same one, the same flavor, what you have to think to yourself is that, why do you need so many? And also, this is why Lidl's and Aldi's do so well, because they only have one product of the same item. So it could be a tomato basil sauce. It won't be many variations, it'll just be one of them. So when we have, like, say example, different products, it will be divided into 3 sections. You'll have the smart price or the lower end price, then you have the middle range, and then you have the higher range. Now the thing is, most of these ranges, the only thing that makes them different, the only thing that makes them different, I would say, is that the ingredients might be different. For example, one might be more than other, so it might be more sugar than another, or it might be another flavor than another. It's basically varies from product to product. But what I would say to you is that when it comes to basic stuff like bread, pasta, rice, and so forth like that, or certain sauces, you can go for a lower range and it doesn't take away from the quality of the product or the flavor of the product. So be very wise about that. Another thing I'd also say to you guys is, if you go to a supermarket, do not go with a hungry stomach. If you are hungry, have a sandwich, have a snack, have a fruit, have something before you leave the house and go to the supermarket. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be the proud owner of aisle number 5 or aisle number 7, because you're going to get like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, I'm going to start picking up stuff, and your brain is going to go crazy, and before you know it, you've got all these products that you don't need. Okay, so really think about it and actually keep it very simple. Ensure that you have something before you go, and make a shopping list. How I make my shopping list, I put it into 3 different categories. The first one is family classics. That means all the dishes that my family loves and I love, and we want to cook it maybe 2 to 3 times in a week, so I have to have those ingredients for that. The next one is restaurant inspired. We love restaurants and going to different food outlets, but now what we've been doing is making it all at home, which is quite helpful. So you want to write them down and actually either go into YouTube or even go on our YouTube channel, because we do lots of cooking videos on there, and we also have a cooking book that you can get for more recipes. So just kind of do some Googling with like making your own meals that are restaurant inspired from the places you like to have, and have those meals on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday, because that's when we tend to have most of our takeaways anyway. Okay, the last one is my favorite, is wildcard meals, guys. So that means anything that's in your cupboards or your fridge freezers and you're basically going to be going off, you want to take it out and make something out of it. It's like repurposing your ingredients to make a new meal. And what I'd also say is, it can also be dishes that you're like, I kind of fancy that right now, let me have that, and then you'll be able to also have those dishes as well incorporated into your wildcard meals. So remember guys, family classics, restaurant inspired, wildcard meals. Get your family or your partner involved in this process. It's really fun. I always say, if you cook together, it's love in the household, you know. So just keep it moving with this, and do not be distracted by all of these supermarket deals. A lot of the times you can shop around, get to know your fishmongers, get to know your butchers, get to know your greengrocers, see what's in season, buy in season if you can for certain items. Obviously, I know if you come from certain ethnic groups like myself, Jamaican, you can't always get all the ingredients from the UK, but you have to import it and it costs more money. We understand that. However, for the most of the things that are in season, buy them, because they'll be higher in nutritional value, and you'll be saving yourself more money from them as well. And always shop around, you know. Buying in bulk is amazing, but it also means buying in bulk for certain things will be amazing. So example, toilet rolls, fish, meat, chicken, some of your vegetables, your legumes like pulses, beans, rice, pastas. Those things are really good to buy in bulk, you know, but some things are not great. So if you're going to be like if you are a singleton person, you know, look around and think about your meals and how you can make things easy for yourself, or if you have your family, also do the same. And also look at your day how your week is in the week, like how your time is in the week. So for example, if you're really busy and you finish your shift and you're exhausted, do not spend tons of time in the kitchen. Keep it simple. Make simple meals, by your time. So if you're going to be, say example, cooking one meal, you can cook the 2 meals and have the next meal for the next day. And that way you actually save your time, money and time in the kitchen, and you'll be reducing your food waste as well. So that's my top tips for how to be a smart food shopper. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to hearing your feedback, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.